So, right, just for everyone already joining us, we'll speak today with our second session within our series about future-proofing our MarTech stack. We will also get a lot of insights from Otto and Springer Nature. Really looking forward to doing that. Beforehand, please just give me the chance just to give you some background info. So this session is going to be recorded and it can be also then be viewed on demand. So you will get the link afterwards as well. And yeah, we will plan for around about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. So based on how many questions we are receiving, it might take a little bit longer or shorter. We will see, and we will try to make it as engaging as possible. So, right, speaking about engaging, there's also the chat. So please just use the chat whenever you've got a question. I'll try to have a look at that. So I'm your host for today. I'm Patrick Moser, and I want to welcome Scott Brinker, Alexander Dimitrievsky, and Stefan Huth. So before we get into the details and jump into a recap as well, I would just shortly hand over to you, Scott, and you might just introduce yourself. Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me back. Really enjoyed our first session together and so excited to have the second one with Otto and Springer Nature. I'm Scott Brinker. I am the editor of Chief Martech. I've been working at the intersection of marketing and technology for, oh my goodness, 17 years here now. And it keeps getting more interesting every year. Stefan, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invitation and the possibility to present something of our MarTech stack and also philosophy. So my name is Stefan Huth. I'm the head of MarTech products or processes here at Otto. And me and my colleagues, we are working to optimize all the marketing processes we need to do, from the planning to the optimization and accounting too. So I hand over to Alex.
Thank you, Stefan. And thank you, Patrick, for the invite. I'm Alex. I head up the marketing technology and data team in Springer Nature, looking after the technology and data products that power great customer experiences over at Springer Nature.
Wonderful. So thanks a lot for joining today. I'm really looking forward to also sharing all of your knowledge and all the insights. So stay tuned for everyone who joined. It will be really, really cool stuff that we'll just see in a few minutes. So my name is Patrick Moser. I'm a co-CEO of Marmind and member of the Entirely Management Board, and really looking forward now also speaking with you guys about kind of what we did the last session, so 3 weeks ago. So hand over to you, Scott. You might just also give us a little bit of a recap about what's actually everything around composability and how to future-proof our MarTech stacks.
Yeah, no, thank you, Patrick. This really is the meta theme for this entire series that we're doing. In the last session we wanted to step back and sort of set the stage from like a conceptual model of why composability is so important in today's marketing and MarTech environment. And to just level set, like when we talk about composability, what we mean are things like, all right, the modularity, like the different capabilities across your MarTech stack. You can look at them as components that can be added, that can be removed, that can be mixed and matched. Very closely related to that is the concept of interoperability. Or as we often like to talk about it, integration. Hey, you can have all these amazing components in your MarTech stack, but if they don't work well together, if they don't communicate, you aren't really able to unlock the value that they bring. And so interoperability is really a key principle to composability. I've got my different modules, and now I've got the ability to connect them together. A lot of the rationale behind this is because we recognize we are in a period of just constant, unrelenting change. On one hand, it's an absolutely wonderful time to be alive and to be working in marketing. There's so many ways in which you're able to be pioneering the new playbooks of how our brands integrate with customers, engage with customers. But it changes quickly, and so folks who are running marketing technology stacks for their company, key concerns they are constantly looking at is like, okay, how do we make sure we have a scalability here? That for any given capability that we want to bring in, there are often things we want to bring in and be able to experiment and try to see what they work, how they work. If they do, we want the ability to scale them up very rapidly. If they don't, or if there's certain channels or tactics or techniques that are no longer relevant, we want to be able to smoothly sunset them. So a lot about composability is, do we have a mechanism to scale our capabilities relatively seamlessly? And I guess you could say all of this, modularity, the interoperability, the scalability, all of this is really in the service of flexibility, just giving you the options to be able to evolve your MarTech stack quickly. That's really the benefits of composability, having increased agility, not just for your technology stack, but ultimately this is agility for your business, agility for your marketing team, your marketing strategy. A big part of this is also countering the force of vendor lock-in. Now, hopefully you have wonderful vendors and you love working with them and you are happy and delighted with their products. But the optionality needs to be under your control to decide, okay, for any given particular capability, I want to stay with a particular vendor because I think they're the best solution for what I need. But if at any point in time, I think another vendor is going to be a better provider for the capability at that time, I want the flexibility to be able to make those substitutions. And a composable architecture really gives you that optionality. A lot of this comes down to making sure that you have control over the cost effectiveness of your stack, and that you have the ability to optimize ROI, not at a vendor level, but at a stack level. And then, while all of that is, the behind the scenes reasons why we do this, really, at the end of the day, we're in marketing. We are here to serve the customer and to serve the marketer. So how do we leverage composability to have better data management so we're able to get the right things to our customers at the right time, and that we're also able to provide the right sort of customer insights to marketing leadership as they continue to evolve. And boy, I know we'll talk a little bit about this as we dive into some of the specific stacks here, but it's exciting because this isn't just the state of where things are now. It's the fact that we are clearly on the precipice of some incredible new changes in what's possible, particularly with AI, and composability from the data layer on up is a way of ensuring that you're going to have the flexibility and the optionality to be able to take advantage of so many of these new technologies and changes that are coming our way to deliver more hyper-personalized content at scale to achieve highly competitive business outcomes. So, Patrick, back to you a bit about Entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Scott, for the short recap of the last session. So we were speaking about that 3 weeks ago for 1 hour. So we were sharing a lot of ideas around it. So for everyone who did not make it and did not see it, but registered for it, just also give it a go and look into that. I think it's also great just to go into the details, what we were speaking in the first session. And let me just also bring it into context about Entirely and our vision with Entirely around our open ecosystem. So it's really actually exactly about what you were just saying about the idea of composability, right? It's really about enabling customers to really drive tailored marketing at scale, but they're having the hyper personalization for all those clients of our customers, right? To really get the right content at the right time, right? To the right personas. So also, if you think about the orchestration that we are speaking a lot about, it's about running more campaigns faster in an agile way. I think also it's a lot about your tech stack, your MarTech stack, right? And not kind of the vendor built tech stack kind of. So this is quite a lot also going into the discussions around suite versus best of breed kind of thing, right? But also everything around cost effectiveness, ROI optimizations. It's about, as you said, improved data management. And it's finally, if you think about curate, right, it's also about creating those personalized experiences for the clients out there. And finally, then also being able to scale that by having that tailored marketing, which it will be also something that will be shared from Alexander and Stefan, how they are doing it, which is really great. So stay tuned around tailored marketing at scale. So some kind of key takeaways from last time, and I'm curious whether this will be also something from today. I guess we will get a little bit more of also very practical also insights and lessons learned from Alexander and Stefan. But some key takeaways from last time are also, make your content data AI ready, because a lot of people are still looking so much on everything that is fancy on AI, but still they are not so much then also taking into account that you need to take care of their data beforehand, right? So also second point is getting this enterprise-wide open ecosystem approach that we were just speaking about, because otherwise it might be quite tricky with some vendor lock-ins. And by doing that, also assure how we would call it or summarize it an end-to-end view for all kind of jobs to be done. If you think about marketing from the very beginning to the end, from planning to execution, we will also hear some thoughts around that today. And finally, focus on business outcomes when investing. So really just not look at features that might sound fancy, but really what's the value behind it. I guess that's quite important for every one of us, because nowadays we also need to look at our money, right? So do more with less is always the case. So now moving over. So now it's about everyone joining us. What about your top use cases for content and campaign management with advanced orchestration and planning tools? This is kind of a tricky question. So let's see what's coming up. But the idea is just share all your thoughts. You can use this QR code here or go to menti.com and use the code 87854084 and share your thoughts. So again, last time we were asking about the top challenges. Now we would like to know, what are your top use cases? What are you really into it? What do you want to achieve this year, 2025? All around composability, advanced orchestration, potentially also aligning from a starting point, like planning, going then into everything around, orchestration. We had a lot about thoughts about taxonomies behind that are quite valid or quite important. We were calling that marketing DNA. So also would like to get some thoughts around that. So just waiting also for some responses there. Double checking whether this is coming. Now it's coming. Wonderful. All right. So we do see measurements, which is a very important one, obviously. Without measurement, you most likely don't know what's going to work and what's not working. Measurement tying into performance, AI-based asset creation, increase ROI, everything around attribution. So let's see if there's something where there's also where more people would go into this kind of use case or wording. Attribution at least is something more people would add here as a top use case. Right. So what do you think, Scott, Alex, or Stefan? Is that kind of surprising, or is it something where you say, well, actually, all clear, we have exactly the same?
I love that attribution and performance, really do pop out here. Like, okay, we're in a world right now where marketing needs to deliver, and so you have to be able to measure the things you're delivering and be able to map back the attribution for it. So, love having those right at the center. That seems very clear-sighted.
Yeah. I like it. There's also the KPI obviously tagging into responsibility is also something quite interesting, right? So who is responsible for what?
It's interesting. I mean, it's nothing surprising, right? And I would have been surprised if we see something very surprising here. But I mean, it's quite interesting that the whole audience is really kind of thinking on how do we actually show the value of all of these investments and all of these things that we're doing in marketing, and that is so important. And we're going to touch upon that kind of as we go along. All of the things that we do with our tech stack and with our investments is really for this middle layer here, performance, to make sure that is really at a level where we deliver for the business. And it's really interesting to see that kind of in the middle. It's
Absolutely.
surprising though that AI, it's not one of the kind of big top use cases here. That's very interesting to see.
Maybe because we said, you need to sort out your data beforehand before you're jumping into AI topics.
There you go.
But so if anyone wants to share also why, for example, AI is not showing up or why performance is so important at the moment, instead of course, for example, of increased ROI, which is also taking into account, what's the outcome at the end. So that would be also great. So if anyone wants to share that, please just use the chat so that we can see that and also potentially incorporate that into our discussion here, right? All right. So again, to everyone in here, thanks for sharing your thoughts around advanced orchestration, planning tools, all use cases. So still people showing up and also adding their thoughts. Also, I'm happy to share the final outcome of the Mentimeter afterwards, right? But all right, based on that, and I would also just all right, so also to the tag, I got also the information that the chat is not yet active. So please assure that also the chat can be active so that we directly also get any questions around those use cases. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so I would say, Stefan, would you be so kind to also share some thoughts about Otto and give us a little bit of insights around Otto and what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So it was interesting to see what the top use cases were. And attribution and measurement are actually two topics we have worked a lot in the past years on it. And I think we got it really good according to a benchmark we had done for 2 years. But Otto, let's say some short facts to Otto. Otto is the largest German online retailer. These are old numbers. In this year, there will be a 7, or for the past business year, I need to say there will be a 7 in front of the billion euro. We have 66,000 employees, of which 58% are women. So we are a company that for us, diversity is a big topic. Also the balance between women and men is a big topic in our philosophy too. Some facts on some KPI facts, I would say. AI is an important topic for us too, and it is also a strategic area we will develop a lot, and there's is going a lot of effort today already. Also in the use case of Gen AI, we have some Gen AI use cases also right now in place. They are not that big because there are some challenges to using these kind of tools, but they are in place, and we are using it also to bring up generated content to a customer. Actually, sustainability is also a big topic for us. It's sustainable commerce is one of our values, our company values, and that's why we have here that we are trying our best to make e-commerce sustainable as possible. Yeah, active customers, we have now 12 millions already. Our products, our assortments are growing and growing. Actually, they are growing not you cannot predict how they are growing. They are growing really in large bunches because we have a platform there. You have partners, and so our assortment and our offers are growing each day. But that should be enough for the numbers. We want to see what the MarTech stack at Otto looks like. And Otto is a big company. And here we have a picture that is that has a lot of information within it, but I will try to keep it short and will try to guide you through this in a capable manner. So actually, the automatic stack is not built up with one person, of course. So there are 1,000 employees that are working within the MarTech stack or creating the MarTech stack. And we have different roles, of course. If it comes to MarTech, we are looking at MarTech from a kind of an end-to-end perspective. So in this picture, you see a kind of layered architecture. My heritage is software development, so I used to be a software architect a bit ago, but here you can see some some characteristics of this in this topic here. So on this picture here, so you have below the data layer. Our MarTech stack is based on data. Data is one of the most important topics for us. And on that, we build up our infrastructure that is capable of managing the data. And we have a lot of data, I must say. And afterwards, we are coming into a kind of business zone. So the blue background are tools that we are using in the business that are whether used by the colleagues or by the employees directly, or that are working in behind and automate the flow. And our view on that is that there is a kind of trigger. We have a need to do marketing to communicate, and that must be planned. So we have marketing communication that is predictable, because you have something like Black Friday, Easter, or whatever. So you have something you can plan. You have and you have also needs to produce content for that. But you have a lot of stuff that is occurring really while the business is going on. We have a lot of automation tasks within here. So if you are going from the planning further to the channel area, you have, I call it the popcorn zone, because we have a lot of colleagues and a lot of channels. I think we are using all channels that you can use in marketing to communicate, and that's why we have a bunch of tools for different needs. And then we come over to the on-site experience. That is that where the shop is working. So a customer that enters our shop, the app, that is what's taking place here. And actually, I must say that is, from technical perspective, that is really a big ecosystems of a lot of microservices, but you cannot display it everything here. And so we need to focus on the things that are relevant from a marketing perspective. For us, personalization is also a strategic area. We put in a lot of effort in this context. So we have a lot of recommendations. We have a lot of AI stuff in the background that is trying to create a personal user experience for our customers. And afterwards, you come to that what's really important for the marketing. We saw it in the top use cases. Attribution is one of the key points here. So afterwards, we collect, of course, the user signals, and we try to evaluate, was it successful, was it not successful, what might the reason for being not successful, or we call it also to reduce user irritations. And in that place, we have a dynamic attribution model. We have that we have it already very long time, since 2013. We have such an algorithm that is showing us how much success which touch point has had on the offer of customer. And afterwards, we have this evaluated touch points. We run a lot of experiments, I need to say, where we what we also analyze and optimize then later too. So we have, in the last step, we are trying to learn and to react on the signals we have measured. So let's you can imagine 1,000 employees. That's a complex task, a lot of roles, a lot of different needs. And I would say maybe in the last years, I would guess that we have 70% of the people are working more in the technical area than in the business area. Okay, and the vision, if you ask us for the vision, so I'm not building all the stuff you have seen. So of course, that's not true, but we are taking care of the stuff that is happening before a user is entering the shop. So we are taking care of how can we, our question that we want to answer, how can we be efficient in planning and operationalizing or executing communication to customers. So our vision is we would like to have an integrated and value-based end-to-end planning and controlling marketing cycle. So what you have seen was more a linear approach because it's easier to follow from a kind of understanding how things are built up together. But actually it's a cycle, it's running all the time. And integrated means there are things going around. So you have the assortment strategy, you have the people that are buying products we need to sell to the customers. So we need to have to cope with this. And you also have logistic processes in behind. So you have a lot of processes that are also running in the business, and we need to integrate our marketing efforts within, or we need to align that. So that means integrated. And what value-based means is, so on the way of planning and executing campaigns, you have you create stuff that will create value, and you want to understand which value is created in which step. So that's something we want to measure, and we want to use in order to develop our marketing tech stack in a controllable and also in a predictable way. So adaptive stack is the next one. We have a growing MarTech landscape out there. So there are a lot of opportunities, and we don't want to miss opportunities. So our goal is to being flexible in the way we can integrate components or features into this, or capabilities in this MarTech stack. We think in capabilities, actually. I didn't say that, but that is what actually is done by the tools and by the colleagues at capabilities. And for us, it's important that we are adaptive. Adaptive is a challenge for us because we have a lot of data. So if it comes to proving a tool is doing the job, there is still some effort we need to do, and that is something we are working on. That we can do that very fast. And of course, adaptive means flexibility also in the kind of how we are using data, how we can integrate data into the job as well. It's not only using tools, it's also about how can we integrate new data also in our decision making. And the last part of our vision is, so it's not enough to have the tech stack, and it's not enough to know that something is integrated or value-based. We need also the skill set within our organization to actually run and manage this ongoing process optimization. And therefore you need skills that are kind of technical, but not a developer, but maybe some technical knowledge about business intelligence, analytics, and so on. And of course, of data, you need to know what marketing is actually doing there, what marketing needs to achieve. And of course, we want to develop our MarTech stack in an economically way. So we need some kind of metrics, measurements also for our stack to being able to manage it and to evolutionize, I would say, to develop it in the future. Yeah, so that's basically our vision. And
thanks a lot, Stefan. That's very impressive. Already a lot of insights, I guess, for our audience there. And we'll also, as I already know, hear a little bit more about that. But beforehand, I think it would be also great from you, Alexander, also to get a little bit of an insight around Springer Nature, and then we can also discuss it. You know, what's actually also, what are the shared values or the shared thoughts around MarTech stacks, composability, and everything that we want to do in the future?
That makes sense. And for those of you who don't know Springer Nature, we are the world's leading scientific publisher. We are a truly global company with a little bit over 10,000 employees, working across more than 40 countries. We serve the scientific community with books, with journals, with services across kind of the complete researcher journey that an individual goes through. We've we're a very, very old company, so almost 180 years, which speaks a lot in terms of our technical challenges. We do carry a lot of legacy, which has been a very interesting journey to go through, right? Because if you look at this wonderful picture here, it looks very nice today, but it has been a journey to get here, and a very interesting journey, I might say. It's we started going on this journey a couple of years back with the idea of everything that Scott mentioned a few slides before, like really thinking about how can we get to a place where we are we're moving away from this kind of rigid setup of tools that we're locked in, and we can't really be flexible and experiment and provide great customer experiences, right? So we kind of looked at the problem, we looked at our stack a few years back and said, okay, where do we want to get to? And in order to kind of define where we want to get to, we took a few guiding principles. And kind of the first and very, very important one was, okay, data powers everything. We need to change the mindset of people when it comes to data. Data, it's not anymore the output of, the system, the data from system X. It's actually a product in its own right? So it's something that doesn't only power a use case here and there, it actually powers organization. It powers different departments in many ways. So we kind of started from that point and built this bottom layer of this picture, the data sources layer, where really we build many products that really power this stack. And then kind of as we were doing that, we started thinking, okay, how does all of this come together in a customer experience? And this is when we started kind of thinking about, okay, customer data needs to come together in a sort of customer data platform. We need to find ways how we can provide these data products to data science teams to actually build models on top of them, so that we can activate them on various tools. And when it comes to activate people or activate data on various tools, one of the kind of important bits that we really cared about was, well, we need to ensure that tools consume data from multiple places. Often, especially in this kind of tool ecosystems, you end up being very limited as to where and what you can consume from. And what we really wanted is to have this ability, when we look at the activation layer, to be able to orchestrate on our own how things interact with each other. And it really kind of drove this idea of, okay, let's break down data silos and build a really holistic view of the customer. And as we kind of started building this, we realized actually there is one big component that is missing in all of this, and that's the people aspect of it all, right? And the people aspect is so important in marketing, because there are marketers actually using this tech stack to create experiences. And it's very hard for a marketing team to be proficient in all these tools, but it's also very hard for marketing team to plan experiences across, a customer journey that goes end to end. So we needed to think, okay, how do we create like a foundational layer beyond data that helps marketers plan and execute across this complete stack and across various channels? And this is where marketing planning orchestration tools kind of came in place to build what is today's marketing stack. It has been a journey, but we've learned quite a lot from it. And we're going to talk about it in a second. We've put a lot of this, we've stress tested this with real life use cases, and we really see the value of kind of taking this approach of building one thing after another and thinking about the customer and how do you enable the marketer actually be successful across a very diverse technology stack with a very good data layer below.
Right. I love that. And it's also very comprehensive. Like, just look at it and it's super, super clear. Really like that. And what I can see also there, Alexander, is you're saying it's also much about breaking down silos. And I think, Stefan, you also brought something with you where it's about, fixing the gap between the strategic and the tactical planning, which is actually also maybe a very nice like another thought, and also hand it back to you, Stefan. And we can also learn a little bit from you, I guess, around your building blocks and how you are also seeing it on a more like even deeper level here, right?
Yeah, I hope so. So for us, our challenge is we are a big company and we have a lot of departments that are doing marketing or that are doing communication to the customer. So actually we have more than 200 campaigns, or yeah, I would say campaigns is a good word for that, or communication, marketing introduced communication or induced communication to the customer in a month, and some are overlapping each other, some are really narrow in time. So, and that's difficult to get an overview of all these things that are going on, and we need a way to orchestrate these things, to have a possibility to measure it and to evaluate in a summarized way. So we want to have an overview of what are we doing for the customer and how are the goals or objectives that we are planning to achieve, how are they actually realized via the channel. So we have a gap within here. So we have a gap first in the first process step of, maybe I should start to say that this picture shows a generalized approach how we look at marketing as an end-to-end process. So you see some steps. I think these steps are quite common, and you could use such a picture, I think, in every marketing department in the world, I guess. And beside that, you see some kind of marketing products or services that are produced along that way. And one gap we have a lot of people that are planning, so we need a way to create an overview of what is planned actually. And then you have the gap between the planning and the channel publishing area. So where actually a channel manager is typing something in Google Ads or Meta or whatever. And there is a gap between the goal we have in the planning. It's more kind of, you would like to enhance the frequency of a customer, of a target group, or something like you want to make a certain amount of sales for a specific assortment, for instance. And then you are doing something in the channel, you are producing maybe content, sometimes you can reuse content, and you are booking something into the channels, and then you are creating those customer interactions. And afterwards, we want to know what have we done to achieve certain goals we have planned to achieve. And that's where we are using currently Marmind as MRM, which is implemented into our company across several departments, so we can close that gap. So basically, the thing what we want to achieve is we want to reduce communication, and we want to make this whole process of planning and operationalizing, executing campaigns, we want that faster, and we want to build up a loop. So we want to build up a controlling and a steering loop, which is which allows us to enter the next stage of marketing, where we want to be able to have a scenario-based planning and a simulation of our planned communication tasks. So that's in short. How do we do that, or what are the challenges we need to tackle with? Of course, I said a lot of departments. So what we need to come up with is we need to have a standardized way on looking our marketing activities. And if Patrick says sometimes something like, what is your marketing DNA? And exactly that is what we need to build up. We need to build up the marketing DNA. So we need to standardize wordings. We need to standardize the data below. And actually, we're using a tool, but in the background, we are using a lot of transformative stuff to keep the stuff in a standardized way. And of course, we are building that on a strong foundation of a data model, which is quite generic for all those tasks you can see on the, or which are broad on the left side displayed. And we are transforming it into actually the setups you are using in a channel system, like Google Ads or Meta or whatever. And so we can book it in automatically. And afterwards, I said before, we have already attribution and we have measurement. Our measurement is quite good, where we have it in an automatically way. This cycle is already there. So if you are looking from the publishing and to the learn and optimize step, we already have this loop. So there is already a loop where we evaluate the data automatically and we write it back to several systems also automatically. Or if it can't be done automatically, our marketing managers can control that on a daily or shorter base, of course. So that's basically the idea behind what we're doing and what we have done already. And if it comes to composability, then of course you can ask, okay, so now we have the data. So the data is kind of glue between the systems. What systems do we have in our stack, which are the building blocks that are creating this performance? And I have a short picture of that too. So that are the building blocks in our MarTech stacks that kind of building the frame in which the marketing actions are running. So of course we have the marketing resource management system, which serves as a place where we can orchestrate planning activities. We have this orchestration stage where we need to organize and manage content we are using in communication. We have also a customer data platform, which creates this persona, or which creates also the view on a customer. And we have something that I don't know if we don't talk so much about it, but we also have a product selection engine, because it's not, there's a kind of content where we also use products, of course, in the visuals, but you really need to know which products you will keep in such a campaign at all. So of course that has to be optimized in a certain way too. And there are different parameters that goes into this algorithm, which is creating this set of products which are actually put into a campaign, right? So that's also something that we have in place. And currently we are working really on the holy grail, I would say. So we want to find the optimum in a budgeting process, or what is better if we put in more traffic, so we use more media spend, or is it more better to invest in the price, or do we have other possibilities to manage with the products somehow, or do we need to using discounts? So that's another possibility we have in place. So that's something we are working currently on, to find the optimum automatically. And then publishing zone, that's quite, I think it's quite known. It's the stuff where the channel systems resides. And then we have the tracking area. Tracking area is the measurement, I think, what is called measurement. That's very, very important, I must say. I think that's something that is marketing managers not so familiar with. So if it comes in the details, but this is something where all the power is coming from, right? So via the tracking, we get the signals, and it's very important what you are doing in front. So in the first steps, if you are missing there something later, it will be very expensive to put it in, or you haven't it by the side. So tracking is really important, and it's tying together the controlling part in the front of the process with the behavioral data of the user on the other side, and that leads actually to the whole optimization possibilities. So then, if the touchpoint evaluation, you have all the algorithms and personalization engines, I would call it, that are working on site And of course, we have also our attribution stack, where we using an attribution model and a marketing mix model. And I didn't say it, or I didn't figure it here in this picture, but actually our goal is to put a frame around when it comes to scenario-based planning. We want to have that all in place. Okay, yeah, so in the last stack, I think that's common. I think you have a kind of experimentation tool, or where you can drive your A/B tests. That's something that Onyx is doing. Onyx is a self-developed tool. And we have, I think, some, quite known tools. So we are using proprietaries like Power BI or Customer Journey Analytics from Adobe or something like that. And at least the accounting process, where we need to, of course, make our accounting, right? So composability, I said, is a challenge on its own when it comes to the hybrid stack. So we have a mixture of self-developed tools and on the other side, the proprietary tools, and we need to combine that, and it's a challenge for its own. So challenges, yeah, that was the key point.
And maybe Stefan, we
Yeah.
might incorporate one question. There's one question in the chat, and it's
Okay.
it's especially also to you. So the question is, what is your recommendation when it comes to creating a MarTech ecosystem as you seem to have it at Otto? Or put it differently, how do you avoid silos? So that might be also a little bit also tying in here, and we can also address it on with a later stage together with Scott and Alexander. But if you can already, share, if you can already share some thoughts around that, that's very helpful.
That's a really an interesting question, and actually that is not so easy to answer. I'll tell you why. I think silos is a result of your organization. And I think it doesn't matter how you're organized, you will always end up in silos. And the question is if your silos are good for your customer or if they are not so good for your customer, right? So actually, if we say we want to break up silos, maybe we can say it from a technical perspective, we want to break up data silos. So we want to combine data that is created across the organization that is needed to build up higher level services. So if it comes to break up silos, we need good regulatory approach from a technical point of view. So how is your data warehouse built up? How is data ingested, etc.? And silos from an organizational point of view is a difficult topic, is a complex topic. Actually, I think you will always end up with silos in your company, but a way to keep information flowing is to use interdisciplinary teams, I guess. So that is something that works for us. And I can maybe later can give an advice how you can, you can create an overview where people meet each other and can talk about things, and you can organize that via OKRs, for instance. But silos is a difficult topic. From a technical perspective, you can manage it, I think. So we actually manage it. I think our data is quite good, combinable and connected. But from an organizational perspective, this is a really difficult question. I think you cannot avoid it.
Right. So there, I would also I'm just questioning, all right? So, so Alexander, what would you say, right? Do you have something in mind and also about that question? And maybe then also want to share some thoughts and, go also share some thoughts around concrete business outcomes that you brought with you and how you want to drill into that?
It's a very interesting question, silos, right? It always exists in some shape or form, and it's very hard. And often when we kind of start addressing these topics, we start addressing them from the silo perspective, or like these two things are independent and need to be joined up. And maybe an alternative approach that we should start thinking more of is take the customer use case perspective first, right? Because if you kind of solve for that, and then from there kind of start going further down into the organizational and the technical setup, things end up aligning a little bit easier, right? Because everybody focuses on the same goal, solving the customer problem, and then all the things kind of start coming together. That is not that recipe doesn't work everywhere, and you need to have many use cases to kind of break many silos, but it's a very good starting point because it allows the organization, the technical teams, the products you're investing in to focus on a very narrow path to success, and then taking that kind of recipe to replicate it further. But it's a very good question because it's not an easy problem to solve.
No, by far not.
Right. So actually also looking a bit on the time, Alexander, you also brought some thoughts with you, regarding also specific marketing challenges and how you're addressing certain business problems. So happy to also get some insights from you regarding that.
Let's dive in. And I really brought something very tangible for everyone, and I hope it's quite interesting. But this kind of put our thinking around creating a composable tech stack, treating data as a product on the test. I really stress this, that this is the things that we're doing in tech. Actually, do the things make sense? And to just give you a bit of a context of the big challenge that we've faced last and this year, and that's journal special issues. And for those who kind of don't understand what a journal special issue is, it's basically a one-off product that we launch to collect all the high-value research in a specific subject area. And the subject area is relatively niche. It's few thousand people that really care about this in a universe of 10 million, 11 million researchers in the world. And our goal is to get the research, the current relevant research in this special issue. The problem is you launch the product, the lifespan is 6 to 18 months until the special issue is launched. So you have a relatively short period to get to reach the people and kind of get their papers and then really put them in this special issue. And the even bigger problem that we as a company had is launching thousands of those. So just imagine overnight, thousands products are being planned to be launched in a single year, meaning many of those products a day. And this is brought to marketing as a problem, right? So
wow, that's a lot, Alexander. That's, hard to imagine now, right? I'm just also thinking about how can you align and plan and be sure that everyone is on the same page there, right?
It is a really big challenge, right? Because we're talking about a relatively big marketing team working across multiple topics. They need to align, create end-to-end visibility. So there is a traditional marketing approaches kind of come to the point where they can't keep up with this, right? So we took this as, what do we do? We can't do marketing as we did marketing, and put it on against our tech stack, and kind of thought, okay, how do we actually deliver a fully personalized experience for every researcher in a completely automated way? And that meant combining multiple data products in our customer data platform so that we have a good visibility of the customer. We can identify this one person that this one product is very relevant to. But also it meant making sure that our data science teams have all the information so that they can automate the process of customer identification on one end, but also content creation on the other, right? Because a marketer can't create 30, 40, 50 different campaigns for products. All of that comes together in the orchestration layer that is automated and then delivered across the channels. So it really kind of showed that putting attention on one end on building good data products, but also making sure that the things are very well connected and you have a good automation orchestration layer can allow you to build this kind of end-to-end experience where everything is hands-off. So the marketer doesn't necessarily do anything in this end-to-end process. A product gets launched and the campaigns start running on the other end to the right people. And that raises this big question, well, what is the role of the marketer? How do they actually plan for this now? And it's very interesting, because what we saw is that on one end, the marketer we enable the marketer to be more strategic and think about the customer experience and the touch points of how they orchestrate this. They don't need to care about the operational things around creating, executing a campaign. Systems can handle that. They can think about the experience. But on the other hand, you really need to kind of have a good planning tool underpinning all of this, because the amount of events that happen in such a short period of time is not something that you can handle one by one. So you end up kind of bringing all marketers to a completely different level of how they operate, where they use planning tools to actually orchestrate end-to-end experiences for a big group of people without really needing to kind of do the operational bits and pieces of how do I set up and run a campaign. And this is where that bit plays a big role, Patrick, to kind of answer your question.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing all those insights. And, it's really going into such a detail from you, Stefan, and also from you, Alexander. So I love all, really sharing all those insights. So I think also, Alexander, you were bringing also some, very concrete outcomes and how this is finally then also looking for your clients, right? So you might just also give us just a short view
Exactly.
on that.
If you're gonna look at the end picture, it's really interesting. Across channels, you can see different emails, different content being created, everything relatively hands-off. So it's a good example of how kind of all of these things come together. And if you kind of think about the marketer in all of this, is like they kind of have this control on top of all of these assets and all these campaigns that run outside of the operational bit. But I can talk about this a lot. I know we're running out of time, so I will stop here, and we can jump a little bit to the next topic.
Right. So there were also, questions. There was one of those questions about the silos. So just now coming also to wrap it up, also like getting some advice from the both of you. So Stefan, you were also bringing some ideas around advice and some lessons learned, and maybe you can just quickly walk us through. I'm happy to also get your thoughts from you, Alexander and Scott. And also, if we're running a little bit late, I think it's very valid for everyone. So don't rush too much. All good. People who need to jump off, they can also have a look at it afterwards. So yeah, Stefan, would you just be able to quickly, maybe give us some of the top major things that you see and which kind of advice you brought with you?
Well, it's difficult. Everything needs to be taken into account, I guess. But I think one of the things that are very important if you are creating MarTech is at least for us, it's to being productive and to being effective. So if we have a concept in mind, it's important to show that it is in real life that it is working. So we need to have a kind of short way to implement concepts, to have a prototyping way to prove that things are working. Actually, if you are in a change, so if you change the work, it's important to create fast results. So that's one what I think is important. And the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to do it with cross-functional teams. So that's also an organizational topic. It lowers it shortens the communication path and it leads to more faster solution, in my opinion. And it is some of the ingredients that may lower the silos things. What I think is also important, MarTech is complex, so don't do all at once. You need to have a good plan. You need to have you have a lot of stakeholders. For us, we have a lot of stakeholders, so it's not easy to communicate always in the right level of detail. So don't do all at once. It is just making the thing more complicated. Yeah, being focused on certain things, produce fast results. Yeah, and so you can lower the risk to stumble. What I think also is important, personal stakeholder management is very important. This is something that I need to take into account here too, because it's always important to be good with your partners. That's true for bigger companies. It's maybe more true than in small and smaller. You have not so many borders, but that is something you always have to take into account. And if I need to be fast, I would say reason why is always important. You need to have a good reason why you do things, of course. And also something that you can see is organizational homework. We are using OKRs across several departments to align each other, to speak about objectives, to speak about the key results. And really, this is something that really helps in communicating, and that really helps in a work across several departments. And this is something that is important. And together with the management intention, at least I have now said everything, is something you really need. Change is not easy always. Change means resistance in some areas, and so you need management attention on some of the topics you are doing. And that's actually everything I could say here. And maybe Alex, you have some things to.
I couldn't agree more with all your points. I think the one that for me is very important is start small. And it's so difficult to start small sometimes in MarTech, because you start with this one use case, and then you end up having many stakeholders adding this and another thing and another thing and another thing, and all of a sudden your small use case becomes this gigantic project that needs months and months to deliver. And that from the beginning it's gonna be, you're just not gonna hit everyone's expectations. And often MarTech projects then start at this kind of point where already that not everyone would be happy at the end of it, and that is so hard to then kind of flip to make it successful. So focusing at kind of the inception of things, and really being ruthless when it comes to the one use case, and everything else matters but not now, is so helpful for kind of starting a very successful transformation, like you showed, Stefan.
Absolutely. But I guess, Scott, also, you must heard that, I've heard that quite often, right? So there's definitely one major thing that you can tell, so that this is super easy, right? So there should be this holy grail of that everything is sorted out. So let us know.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll go back to where we started, right? From our previous session, we were really laying out the conceptual structure and advantages of composability. And I think what's really exciting here is we've seen from Stefan and Alex, this is not a theoretical thing. You have now seen two amazing examples of composable MarTech stacks that have been very thoughtfully architected, that have delivered this benefit of agility. Alex, the impact, with Springer Nature has been, it's just a fantastic case. So I don't know. I think, where the takeaway I would offer from this is absolutely achievable. It's not easy, but we're living in an environment where, it's not easy, but it's doable. And the potential business impact you can have, the competitive advantage you can bring to your organization through approaching marketing and MarTech this way, I think is pretty amazing.
I think with that, I'm not sure whether Stefan or Alexander, you want to add something on that. If not, I think it's just time now also to finish it up, right? So again, thanks a lot for sharing all your thoughts and all the details that you brought with you, and all the preparation and your openness also to share everything that you're doing in your daily work. So really very much appreciated. And if there's any questions also in the audience that could come up later, I guess I can also then try to connect the both of you, or if there's any questions coming up, right? So by that, I guess it's for me now to kind of really shortly wrap it up and just speak about what's next. So what's next? In 3 weeks, on April the 30th, we have the last session together with you, Scott. So really looking forward to doing that. We will bring some partners from us. So there will be Phil. He is CRO of CI Hub, and there will be René. He's Managing Director and Deputy CEO of Gate B. So we will have some kind of panel and go through all thoughts regarding composability, AI, quite a lot of what we did speak about, and add some additional use cases also from our partners, right? So that's how all those stacks are coming together. I was really looking forward to doing that. So for everyone in the audience, if not registered yet, do that now. You can use the QR code or just enter entirely.com, and there you will also find all information around that. So beside that, also get ready for an Entirely Summit 2025. Really looking forward to doing that together. So we will have clients speaking there, we have partners speaking there. So everyone in the audience who is interested in what we were discussing right now, but really wants to go deeper. So there will be roundtables, there will be keynotes, there will be different ways of creating a community for marketing that matters. So that's what we're looking for, and really looking forward to doing that also in person. So that's it. And I've seen there were also additionally just now also coming further questions all about, different perceptions. So I will also share that afterwards with you, Alexander and Stefan, and we'll then also come back to those who were just now also asking questions, as I think for now it's time to wrap it up and say thanks a lot, right? So again, Stefan, Alexander, and Scott, thanks a lot. Have a great day and talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.